This is the Ink, Pray, Love podcast. We talk all things health, wealth, and community connection. Let's go. Welcome back to the Ink, Pray, Love podcast here at Lighthouse Studios in Bali. Today I got one of my good buddies here. Damian Schechter is a world-class fitness trainer, my good friend. And it's been a recent friendship. It's only been a few months and we've done some crazy shit together in a very short amount of time, which is hilarious and I absolutely love it. And I'd love for you to explain some of the stories we'll talk about. Tell us about yourself first, and then we can talk about what we got going on in the future.
Dude, thank you so much for having me. Really a pleasure to sit across this table with you. And, you know, as you mentioned, it's a fairly new friendship, but I feel like the stars were very aligned in how that friendship came to be, which we'll go into, shortly. But yeah, my name's Damian Schechter. For those who don't know me, I've been a personal trainer for 10 years and I moved into the online space during COVID. So now I'm working online, helping people across the world get into the best shape of their lives, looking, feeling, and performing like athletes. So what brought me to Bali was just a moment of not really knowing what the fuck I wanted in life. And that led to a last minute flight 3 hours later from Dubai. I was on the beach and just had this like moment of what am I doing here? 3 hours later on a plane to Bali, and now it's been a year. And it's been a really beautiful journey and lots of amazing things have happened. But all stars led me to essentially finding myself in the gym one day, complimenting your unbelievable tattoos. And now we find ourselves seated here, which
I was at the gym and you struck up a conversation with me and I was like, oh, this guy's cool. And I was like, well, and you commented on my tattoos and I was like, well, actually, I own a tattoo shop. You're like, no way. I want tattoos. And I was like, clearly. Yeah. And then I was like, well, we're having a party and it was like a Karma house party. So we're throwing an event. You should just come to it, bro. Yeah. And so you rock up, like it was like the next day or something, maybe something like that. And you end up getting your throat piece done by Milo, who was guest spotting. Yeah. So you come, you meet me, you rock up, get your throat tattooed, meet a whole bunch of people. Yeah. We became buddies. We started training together like a couple days later. So now you're my trainer. Yeah. And then my birthday's coming up and I'm like, I want to do ayahuasca for my birthday. And you're like, I'm down. And you just had this like instantly you're down and you'd never done it before. And it was like an instantly like, sure, let's do it. And like a full yes. And a few other people were trying to come with us as a private ceremony. They were flaky, but you were just like, yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah. And I'm like, there's also Kambo, Wachuma, and you're like, I don't know what those are, but I'm in.
Well, let's also remember there was the ceremony that we did the night before. You, me and Antonella, we went to a Balinese priest.
Exorcism.
The exorcism.
Literally, that's right. So the day before, we were trying to clean ourselves out for this ceremony, and we're like, energetically, we should clean ourselves out. I think Antonella was looking for a cleansing or something. Was I looking?
I was just going with the flow, dude.
Yeah. I'm like, hey, you want to come to a Balinese exorcism? You're like, sure, man. Yeah, fuck it. Let's go. Like, you just have this like, let's go. Whatever happens. Attitude. I just love that. And so we go see a priest that I know up in the northern Bali that can do clearings on people. And we did like a full-on exorcism on take some negative energy off of me, take an entity off of our friend Antonella, a dear sister of ours, and then he does you, and you're like, nah, you're clean, and your soul was clean, and me and Antonella were like, fucking must be nice.
And
that was like our running joke from then on. We're like, lucky guy had like no dark energy, no spirits, no entities, just clean, just good to go.
Yeah, I felt that though. That was the thing. Like during when he was, I think it's called exercising. You're exercising me, or you're just getting the spirit out of me. I didn't feel like there was anything in me that like needed to come out. It was actually a pretty chill.
I mean, you exercise for a living, so
yeah.
but yeah, and so it was just like a funny must be nice became our like running joke.
Yeah.
Because you would just have like this like, yeah, I'm good, I'm sweet. And then so we do an exorcism. The next day we drive up to northern Bali to meet my shaman, our shaman friends, now good friends of ours, and you'd never done Kambo. never done ayahuasca, never done Sananga, Hape.
I did the Rapa and Sananga when I did the DMT in South Africa, but like only once, you know. So like I was still a complete virgin almost, to the concept of like layering these medicines on top of each other. Yeah, it was wild, man. It was a very wild like week of meet the guy, go to his, and you know what, it was the morning of me meeting you. So like if we go back to like before the ayahuasca and before like the whole, you know, journey, I did the DMT in South Africa and I'd never done San Pedro, DMT, Rape, Sananga. And a friend of mine said, hey dude, there's this trail of transformation. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, sure. Like I've got nothing to lose. And I think if you had to ask me a year and a half ago, would I have, you know, being so open to doing something like that, I would have definitely said no. Like, not my vibe, not keen, don't want to enter the spirit realm, fifth dimension, sun, moon, stars, like, not a fuck. Like, it was just because for me, I always still looked at plant medicines as drugs, right? And like, you know, I had already had a taste of like the cocaine and the other things, but I was like, that's actually as far as I want to go, you know? And from what I've heard about like the plant medicines, is that they're really out of body and very intense experiences. So for me, I never wanted to go there. But then through a whole bunch of doing spiritual work, self-development work, you know, going through a personal journey on my own, that's why I was then so open by the point where I got offered this trail of transformation. I was like, okay, you know what? Actually, I've got nothing to lose because I've already done so much of this work by myself that I feel like this is the next level and I should actually go and explore this. So doing the DMT, that really opened up like a lot of, I still can't even actually explain it like sometimes, you know, but I think it just really expanded my consciousness to the point where things were just happening in front of me or happening for me and everything was just in flow. So, you know, kind of why I'm bringing that up in relation to you and I meeting each other is because the morning that I met you, I was driving home from breakfast. And while I'm driving home, I'm like, dude, you've been in Bali for a year. Like, you know, you're doing a great job. You've got a nice place and this and that, but you don't have a community around you. You don't have like people that you see regularly or you speak to regularly. You know, you need to create community now. Now that you've put your feet in the ground, you need to create community. So I get home, shower, make myself a cup of coffee, and I pull out my oracle cards. Another thing, a year ago, if I had to imagine myself fucking shuffling oracle cards and giving myself a reading, never.
You're like the ultimate gym bro. That's
dude, I'm a gym bro. You know what I mean? Like I've spent 15 years of my life just training and taking supplements and, you know, and so I pull the community card and I'm like, fuck right off. Like that's weird because I had this thought 5 minutes ago. Pull the community card. Then do a bit of work for the day. I think it was like mid-morning or lunchtime. I think that I met you and I went to the gym. And then I complimented your tattoos and you said, oh, well, tattoo shop, you should come. And funny enough, on my way from where I was living to the gym, I saw the poster that you had put up outside Karma House. I think there was a poster, right, that said like flash tattoo event. And I think I might have even seen it on Facebook. And so those were just things that I saw in like my subconscious. And I was like, oh, I'm actually definitely going to go and get a flash tattoo tomorrow. And then I meet you. And when you mentioned the tattoo shop, I didn't know it was the same one until you like flash tattoo events. And then I put two and two together. And anyways, long story short, found myself there the day after getting the neck done, you know, and it was just like, how did all of that just flow so easily? And it was almost like all of it was meant to be. And then on top of all of that, then you suggest that, yeah, let's do some ayahuasca. And it's like, okay, cool. And then that opened up another can of experiences, bro. Not even worms, just like it was wild.
It was your experience that you had that journey was way more profound than what I had. I was impressed and jealous, but it was amazing to see like what you had gone through. I was talking to Andres, our medicine man brother, yesterday. I had him on the podcast when we were recording yesterday. and I was talking about like, because it was your first time and you were super open, but also the cultural differences. And it was funny when you went up because it was your first time going up. And
I was the only one who didn't like kneel and do the whole ceremonial way of receiving the medicine. I'm just standing there. I'm like
cheers.
I'm like, cheers, bro. That's how you know it was my first time.
It was hilarious because I'm watching you up and you're so obvious, you're sincere about it. It wasn't like you're taking it lightly, but you didn't know to like, hey.
Well, there was no textbook that was given to me before saying like, when you get the medicine, you need to kneel and pray and kind of like just receive, you know, humbly. You know, I'm just like standing there. I'm like, great, bro. Cheers.
Cheers, bro. I was like, and I was watching it. I was like, this is hilarious because I knew it was so like genuinely innocent. Like you were not trying to offend.
No.
You're a very, very humble guy. You know, you're very sweet. So it wasn't like an arrogant thing.
Yeah.
It was just like an inexperience.
Well, the second night I rectified my behavior.
No, the very second, the very next time you went up, you knew. You were like, okay,
we're good.
Okay, I know what to do here now. Because then you saw me go up and you're like,
that's what the square mats on the ground was for me.
I see. It's not like a cheers bro thing.
Yeah. This is ayahuasca.
And
it's not a beer.
Me and Andres were laughing about it yesterday because he was like, oh, I cheersed him right back. Like, it's okay. Because he's so chill. You know,
he's so chill.
So easygoing.
So
right?
cool.
Such a sweet
I
guy.
love him, honestly. Like, I think Jaleh commented, his partner commented on something on my Instagram the other day, and nice to see your name pop up, but I was just like, give your man a massive hug for me because I love him, you know. And the second that I met him, he was just
so open and so sweet.
Kind, bro.
He was like, I was telling him on the podcast, like he is the poster child for like ayahuasca works. Like he's like that's the medicine at work, to see someone so in their heart and so honest and so sweet and so vulnerable and so like real about his experiences, that he's not this holier than thou type of dude. He's just a dude. He'll cheers you when you go up there. He won't be like, you kneel when you do the medicine. He just is love. And I was just like, damn, like you can't help but love that dude. Like he's so caring and kind.
For sure.
And it's magnetic. And so that's like one person I was like, damn, I'm really happy he came into our lives. Because all these things kind of happen in this weird synchronistic time for us to connect, and then pulling him in and all these weird things. So when we got there, the session was, okay, we're doing Cambo first, which you've never done, and then ayahuasca. And the first night was a challenge. Like that was rough, man.
I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you need to drink 4 liters of water. Then your heart's going to start pounding. Then you're going to start sweating. And then you're going to, feel like I'm just, okay, whatever. Let's just fucking have a go. Like, let me find myself in that position, and then I'll deal with it in the moment, you know? Because I didn't really know, I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
The same with the ayahuasca. But the Cambo, now looking back at it, as we were speaking about before, I would really love to do that very regularly, because I feel like I received the benefits of that for days or weeks afterwards, you know, where like I was really like, wow, like internally I feel clean, you know, and that feels really nice. It doesn't feel nice in the moment.
Nope.
It doesn't feel nice for about 20 minutes, you know.
Yeah, it's rough
brutal,
for a minute. 20 minutes is rough. And then we had like a champ. We go through it, we puke our brains out. Yeah. We feel somewhat better after. I was feeling pretty rough. And then we rest for a little while. And then, okay, it's time for ayahuasca. And I was like a little nervous before we started, because it's like, okay, this is gonna be some deep work. And it's a private ceremony 4-on-4, which is a blessing to have. That's very not normal. It's usually 20 people or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this was my first one. So
We got blessed because we did a 4-on-4.
And the concert was unbelievable.
They're incredible musicians. It's wild to do 4-on-4, 4 shamans, musicians, and us 4 is an absolute blessing. That's not common. So we got really lucky. Usually it's 20 to 30 people, and Andreas was saying he was leading ceremonies with 100 people, which is like going to Costco. Like it's crazy, bro. That's wild. Really? Yeah. In Chile. So
I would rather pay the extra amount and make sure that it is a private ceremony, because I wouldn't want to do that with 100 people. There's I did sound healing a couple months ago at Pyramids of Chi with like I think 40 people in that, and already for me I switched off because there were just too many people there.
Same.
Like I couldn't down my tools, because I'm listening to this one burping, this one's farting, this one's getting up to go to the bathroom. And I think with us there was just we were all so close.
Group synergy.
But there was so much of that.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
I get mad distracted, bro.
Yeah.
So when there's like that many people going through that many things, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sakes. Like I'm bad at that, and that's a fault of mine. Maybe I could be a little bit more like neutral and maybe not be affected. But like when there's lots of stuff happening, like if I go in a group breathwork ceremony, it's difficult for me to crack through.
Right.
I can do really well in a one-on-one, and I can go there and I'll be crying and the snot coming out and all this stuff. But if it's like a big group ceremony and a bunch of people, especially if it's at Karma House, so it's like at my business, it's really hard for me to like actually go there.
Sure.
I'll have like a chill experience, like the one that we had breathwork not long ago. It was like a chill experience, but I didn't have like this life-cracking, soul-shattering healing experience. I was like, yeah. But like if I do it alone, okay, I'll do it. So I'm a bit of a bad case, I think, for that. I think that's a fault of mine. I'd like to improve. But the fact that we had this 4-on-4 ceremony was amazing. And then so the first night, was that the first night that you were hearing footsteps upstairs? We're like in this haunted house. Like,
don't even get me started. I know what I heard.
So Damian's beside me, and the first night is a challenge. Like it wasn't like an easy trip for you. I think you had a very, very deep, beautiful experience that first night. First night for me, my mind was just all over the place, and I was just like thinking about everything, thinking about like all these weird old like romantic and sexual experiences, thinking about all these like interesting things I had been through, but I just like ruminating a lot the first night. It was just this like constant rumination. So I was just kind of like, what was that? Like I wasn't really feeling it. And then you turn over to me and you're like, did you hear that?
Bro, I'm not fucking with you. I know what I heard, dude. I know, like, and the thing is, like, in any other situation, I would be like, okay, yeah, maybe I heard something, but I know what I heard. Like, I know that I heard it. Like, that's the thing is I know that it couldn't have been my imagination, because I was so connected with every single thing that was going on in that room. Every sound, we're listening to the music, like I can hear you and feel you right next to me. There was nobody else upstairs. Everyone that was in that house was downstairs. And it was just, and then I look at you and I'm like, bro, did you hear that?
And I'm like, what?
And you're like, what? I'm like, fuck right off, bro. There's no ways that you did not hear those footsteps running across the floor. Like, and for me to even admit that I heard something like that, I've never really believed in like paranormal activity that much. Or I'm just like, okay, well, if it's there, I haven't experienced it. And, like whoever has experienced it, great for them. But I'm so 100% certain that I know what I heard. Like, I know what I heard. And the thing is, I know that like I'm not tripping out, because, and then I think you said, oh, maybe it was the drum, or like maybe I looked at Andreas because Andreas had the drum, But the thing is, they weren't performing in that moment. I think all of us we were kind of all sitting there in silence waiting for the ayahuasca to kind of kick in, right? It was during that initial 2 hour.
No, I think it was late.
I don't.
I think
I know what I heard, bro.
I think we were fully on the medicine at that point.
Oh no, I know I was, but like there's just no ways that I imagined.
I don't think it was the waiting period. No, this was much later. This was.
Yeah, but then this was when they weren't playing.
Sure.
That's the thing, because I was like, yeah, he didn't have the drum in front of him. No one had the drum.
Okay. I remember this.
It happened twice.
Yeah, and I remember that definitely because I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I didn't hear anything, but maybe because this place was like an old haunted house vibe.
Big time.
It was an old mansion.
Big time.
And it was a little bit creepy. Like, it's an olden style, great place for a ceremony. The acoustics were great in it. It was a big house, kind of like this old mansion vibe. But upstairs was a little creepy. Like, it was a little bit scary. So when we walked it, we're like, this place looks haunted. Like, I think we even said it when we got there, right? So, or we saw the photos before we drove up and we're like, this shit looks haunted, man. Like, it really did.
Yeah.
So when you said that, I was like, okay, but at one point I think I needed to go upstairs and get something. And you had been hearing things, and I was like, I can barely walk straight. Like I was on 2 or 3 cups of ayahuasca. So it was difficult to walk. Everything was trippy. And now I got to go upstairs, and I was either getting like my asthma inhaler or something, because I remember it was a little bit difficult to breathe on that much medicine, or something. Like I wanted peppermint essential oil, something to help my lungs.
And it's after I've told you that I heard sounds upstairs.
Yeah. So I'm like, I got to go up there and fight a ghost right now, right? I'm like, and I can barely walk straight. And I'm trying to go up these huge wooden stairs to like, okay, what am I walking up to right now? And I'm thinking the girl from The Ring. Remember the girl from The Ring? She climbs out of the well?
Okay.
Yes, yeah. And
walking on all fours.
And I'm thinking about that while I'm walking up these stairs. And then I think about Scary Movie. Remember that the old movie?
Yeah.
And they beat up the girl from The Ring, and I'm like, I will kick the shit out of this ghost. And I'm walking up the stairs like, fucking, let's go, bring it. And I'm laughing to myself while I'm walking up, like I'm having this old personal comedy in my head of like beating up this ghost from The Ring, and I'm like, fucking bring it, let's go. I'll kick the shit out of this little called ghost girl. Fucking yeah. And I'm like, and I'm like laughing to myself as I'm walking up.
Trying to also convince yourself that you're the man.
Yeah. I'll fucking do this. It's like this hilarious ayahuasca self-talk I'm having. So I go upstairs and I'm kind of looking around and I'm like, okay, all right, we're good.
It's all good.
It's all good.
There was still this like sense of comfortability though, like throughout, you know, like, you know, I think maybe back in the day, I think as a kid, if I had to hear that, there's no ways I'd ever go up. I would never go up those stairs, but I'd get you to go and get my stuff. Like, I'm not going back up there. But like, you know, there was still the sense of like, okay, cool, but there's no harm. Like, and it's still, for me, is very difficult for me to kind of like accept that, like, even if I imagined it, let's say I imagined it, or if let's say that those sounds were in my head, because the first one was like footsteps running across the floor, and then the second one was just a really loud bang.
Yeah.
And maybe the first time I imagined it, but the second time I was like, yeah, no, it's happened more than once. So like, you know, now I've got data to kind of like make up my mind that like I've got data, bro. Okay. Like I've heard it twice. If it was once, maybe it was like, I imagined it, you know. Sure. Second time I was like, no, there's definitely something going on. Mm-hmm. But it didn't freak me out at all. And maybe it was my imagination, or not imagination. Maybe it was the plant medicine. Maybe I really was connected on like a slightly different level where, you know, I had an ability to hear certain things. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can ever really like make something of it, you know, like don't ever attach a meaning to something. Just accept it, move on, and keep on enjoying the experience. But it didn't make me feel uneasy about it. I was like, okay, cool, there's spirits in here. What's up, guys? You know what I mean? Like that did kind of like surprise me a little bit, but like I'm happy to still kind of get up and walk around and go upstairs and, you know. But I think for me, the second that, because for the first 6 hours, I was actually maybe tripping a little bit, but I was still totally there. Like, I think it was only when the sun started coming up the next morning was when I had my experience.
Really?
Right? So
is that when you had the...
That was when I had the experience with my dad. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
So for like most of the evening, I was feeling pretty elevated and like vibrational, and dipping in and out of like sleep, awake. And maybe, I think the first experience was when I imagined myself climbing the Burj Khalifa, right? Which is quite cool. And then all of a sudden, like the next frame was me standing on top of the Burj Khalifa overlooking Dubai. And I was like, okay, that was quite an affirmational of like, keep climbing the ladder, you're going to get to the top. Kind of like King Kong. Mm-hmm. You know, but then the actual experience that I had and I felt was only at like 6:30 the next morning, 7 o'clock the next morning. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, we started the ceremony at what, 2 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning?
No, like 12 or 1. Like,
so we did the Cambo at 11.
Oh, that's right. The first night was a bit later.
Yeah, the first night
was a bit later.
And we only started the ayahuasca at like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, so it took like 6 hours to actually, you know,
Did you just have 1 cup the first night?
2 cups.
2 cups.
Night,
yeah, that was wild. And I just remember us like, you had this really deep experience. And talk about the experience first, because then I want to get to a little bit of the funnier part after. But this is deep.
So I, you know, my dad passed away 6 years ago, nearly 6 years ago. And, you know, that happened on, I think it was like a Thursday. Weekend happened, we had the funeral. I went back to work on Monday. I was like, okay, well, a lot of people sit at home and they grieve and, you know, they take a couple of weeks to readjust, you know, to life without their parents. But, you know, for me, my dad would probably be saying, yo, go back to fucking work. You know what I mean? Like, why? You don't need to sit around and cry about it. Like, I'm gone. Like, you know, so for me, I just had this like kind of stern, hard approach of get back to work. So, you know, he passed away on Thursday. I went back to work on Monday and saw 15 clients off the bat. You know, I didn't really take any time because I didn't feel like I needed time to grieve. So, you know, I kind of completely ignored any grieving process and just went straight back to work. And that kind of like has led up to even today, you know, where it's just like, you didn't take a week off to really kind of think about how you feel. So, fast forward now a couple of years, now we're at this ayahuasca experience, and 6 a.m, I'm lying there, and we all have our bed sheets. We've got these like white linen duvets, and we've got the nice white pillow, and we're all lying on the floor. And I'm looking outside the window. So I'm like lying there flat, looking at my top left. And all of a sudden, like, I found myself being my dad. Because when my dad was on his deathbed, like in the last couple hours, he was lying there looking up at his top left, because I was standing there with him, speaking to him, looking down at him. And in that moment, all of a sudden, me looking out the window, top left, all of a sudden I transformed into my dad's body, and then I saw myself standing there looking down at me. And I knew exactly, like for me, the past few years, I wondered, was he in pain? Was he scared of dying? Was he worried about what was going to happen to me? Was there anything that he wanted to say? Those are all the things that, like, only after someone's passed away do you think, fuck, how did they feel in those moments? Because he was conscious. He had dementia, so I don't think he fully knew what was going on, but he knew that I was there, and he knew that I loved him. And so, you kind of wonder for the years afterwards, how did they feel? And all of a sudden now this ayahuasca experience shows me how he was thinking, what he was feeling. He wasn't in any pain at all. He knew what was happening. He was totally there. And just to have those roles reversed and like see the situation from him gave me all the answers that like I've needed for the past couple of years. It could have shown me a lot of things in other areas of like my friends, business, my passions, anything, but like all of that's actually going all right. Like, I don't feel like there's any resistance in so many areas of my life at the moment. But that was the one thing that like I've clearly been ignoring, and I've clearly not taken any time to actually think about and rationalize. So just to experience that, but I think it was exacerbated by the music and the ceremony, because it was so emotive, and it was really allowing me to get the most out of that ayahuasca experience. That the second, and this was the crazy, I think this for me was the breaking point for me, but also the moment of like acceptance, was that the second that the singing and the music stopped happened at the exact second that my dad took his last breath. And like, I felt that, like the second I was laying there, like I just felt that there was no more air in my lungs, and I was just lying there, and I closed my eyes, and like, I couldn't believe that I got to experience that, because that was just the most powerful emotional feeling I've ever felt in my entire life. But it was minute for minute, second for second, how my dad's last 5 minutes of his life played out. From like the moment I walked into the room, he was still there, but his breathing was shallow. And then I went through that whole journey, and the second that like that 5 minutes, as I recall it, ended was when the music stopped. And that was like
wild.
Okay, cool. Now you've gone back there, and now it's over. Like, now it's over,
So profound.
Dude, it was wild.
What did you get out of that experience?
I think the one thing you'd never want anyone to be in is pain. Like, you never want you don't want your parents to be in pain, like your friends, your family, and for me, I just didn't know, because, I got a call that day. I was on the beach reading my book, eating strawberries, like casual, Thursday. I've just finished with my morning clients. Summer's arriving, and I get a call from the old age home, and they're like, hey, we just need to let you know your dad got sick overnight. He has about 6 hours left. And I'm like, well, that's quite fucking weird that you know how many hours he's got left. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me, because I saw him 2 days ago and he was fine. And even if he did get sick, it doesn't make sense that you've just said that he has 6 hours left. And
did you ever find that out? Because that is confusing.
Well, I have my theory, without it being an accusation, is that obviously it's an old age home and they want to make space. And, I don't want to say it's a murder clinic, but like, I do think that when someone's sick, that they don't help them.
Wow.
And, maybe they give them morphine, and morphine is actually the worst thing that you should give some certain people, who have got certain sicknesses, because if someone's struggling to breathe, they don't need fucking morphine. That's the last thing you should give someone who's actually got fluid in their lungs, you know. But, you know, by the time I got to the old age home, he was like so morphined up. And I was like, who gave you permission to do this? Like, I didn't. You didn't call me and ask me, you know. And I was the only son that he had in Cape Town at the time. So, you know, I got there and like, I'm a bit of a, well, fuck, you know, if you say he's got 6 hours, even if that 6 hours turns into 10, fuck, I've got like 10 hours left with my dad, you know. And even if it's not today, most likely tomorrow, you know. So just having to go from like everything is okay to all of a sudden, holy fuck, my dad's going to die today. It was like that for me. I didn't really have any time to process that. And so I get to the old age home. He's actually still like he can talk. And I think that the best part about the experience was that while he could talk and have his eyes open, he looked at me and he said, I know that I don't have long, but I love you and I'm proud of you. And I was like, okay, like that's all you want to hear. Like as a son, that's all you want to hear. Like nothing more, nothing less. I've done my job. I've, you know, stood up to the standard that you've held for me. And after that, then he closed his eyes. And that was when, he maybe had like 5 minutes left. So it was like, he said what he needed to say and then he just went peacefully, you know, but yeah, I think you just don't know if they're in pain.
Yeah.
And so for me, what I got from the ayahuasca experience was that I knew that he wasn't in pain and I knew that he wasn't scared.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he wasn't scared. That's, I think, the one thing that when you think of death, you're like scared to die.
Yeah.
You know, but he was fully conscious, you know, even though he was a little bit morphined up, had dementia. The fact that going into his like old age with dementia, I was always there for him daily. Take him for a coffee to a restaurant, coffee shop that we used to go to all the time, just to keep his memory as fresh as possible. Drive past houses that we used to live in, just that he could remember that. You know, so yeah, I really tried my best to make sure that like he retained some form of like, you know, his reality, like previous realities. But yeah, just to sum it up, like to know that he's not in pain, to know that he was like conscious in the moment.
Deep.
And he wasn't scared. It was a very intense thing to experience.
Yeah.
It was very, very deep, you know.
I remember you turning over to me and telling me that.
So fuck.
And I was like, whoa. Because I was over there thinking about some bullshit. Like I was not on that level. I was like,
fuck, I just relived my dad's death.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said to me.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What?
It's deep, dude.
And then maybe like half an hour later, you're like, bro, I'm really hungry.
Bro, I was fucking stopped. I was ready to fuck someone up. I was so hungry, bro.
We couldn't wait for food because we have to fast all day. And you'd like to eat.
And threw up, you know,
And you
the
throw
night
up everything.
before.
Yeah. So we were just empty.
Yeah.
How good was those chocolates? We had these Falala chocolates Antonella bought us, and they're insanely good
so
after
good.
the second night.
It was so good.
It's just like having cold fudgy chocolates the next day. All of us were like,
Yeah.
It was amazing.
What I loved was I was sitting outside and you came and gave me one. And as you walked to, I was like, fuck, I wish you gave me two. And then you turned around and gave me another one, bro. And I was like, yes. Oh, my God.
What a crazy couple of events. Because like it was wild. Like so much happened for you in those 2 weeks. It was like so many things came in and around and into your field. And just like so much. Now we have a brilliant friends group out here because like, I just moved back too, right? So it was great. And a bunch of my friends are mainly in Uluwatu. So I was in Ubud for Karma House. So it's building another friends group there all over again, you know, and I think most of us don't super resonate with how hippie dippy, you know, a bunch of the crowd is up there, you know, bless them, but they're not like, we're trying to lift weights, eat steaks and launch businesses, you know, and tap in and do some spiritual stuff.
You
But
need
it's
to trademark that one.
Lift weights, eat steaks, launch businesses.
Yeah,
that's good. That should be a shirt.
That's an Alex Hormozy t-shirt right there.
That's a U t-shirt. No, exactly. Then, you know, us just seeing you get settled out here and, you know, get your business legalized and setting it up and now looking to build a gym and, you know, like seeing this, you got a dog now, like seeing you get rooted in Bali and how
had a relationship in the midst of
I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up. I wanted you to bring it up, but like you met me and then you had a neck tattoo did ayahuasca, been to an exorcism, and got a girlfriend in like a week.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
And the funny thing is, like 2 weeks before that, in between the DMT in South Africa and then coming here, I did an Ironman in Thailand.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so it was like
wild.
That was just like a fuck show of a month, bro. It was wild.
So much happening so fast, right? Yeah, you met your the brief relationship you were in at the tattoo party. So it was like a lot happened really quickly in this field, and I love that because it's like when you meet people you're supposed to meet, like so much can happen really fast.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting because things just got activated, and then us training together was amazing, and just like seeing all these things come together, it's like really beautiful. And then I think that's a big part of like how Bali is quite powerful because so much can happen so fast. Like even if you come and visit for a short little trip or something, there's lots that can get activated because it's a really, I know it sounds hippy dippy guys, but like the veil is very thin here. Like it's a magical island. Literally there's magic here. There's lots of things that can manifest very quickly, good and bad.
Yeah.
And if you come here with the right intention, so much can happen so quickly for you. Ideas, connections, people, just and it can ripple out to when you go back to the other side of the world. And I think that's what's been brilliant about Bali. Definitely a lot of change and shift in my life, but like I mean, you've seen it firsthand, just the couple of weeks that you've had, a couple of months.
Yeah, you said it's. I think it's two things also with like coming with the right intention, but also detachment of where you're coming from, right? Because like you're coming from a westernized, stressful, like high functioning society where like it's just this go, and so also like kind of detaching from that and that mindset that like it always needs to be go, and that you need to like I was speaking to my mom yesterday and she's like, yeah, love, like I'm just in a very stressed out space with stressed out people, and I was like, I can't wait for you to get here, because it's just there's daily stresses, and I think like here more than most other places, people need to work, they need money, like it's it's a very different like society in terms of what one gets paid here versus what one gets paid anywhere else in the world, but there's still complete like I don't know, it's just there's no like common stresses that we deal with back home that they're not stresses here, like they don't exist, so
I think a lot of it as well is like how much the mainstream media like shoves stress down your throat as well. Like we all need to be worried about this now. Yeah. And it's like prevalent, omnipresent. Everyone's looking at the same new disaster or new big news to talk about. So it's like so important that thing is the most important thing to worry about right now. When it was like, okay, it was Black Lives Matter, and then it was Ukraine, and then it's Russia, and then it's Israel and Gaza, and then now it's Trump assassination. It's just like, or then it was COVID. It's like bing, bing,
it
bing.
It doesn't stop.
It's a continuous fucking carnival show, nonstop circus of fear and be afraid of this and worry about this shit.
But there's more important things to worry about here,
And then when you're here, it's like, are you taking care of yourself? How's your mental state? How are you doing? Are you healthy? Are you eating all right? Here's some wholesome people you want to meet. And you're like, holy shit, I don't need to worry about all that stuff. Like, it's world global events and it's important. Okay, yes. But also, did you go out and look at the sun today? Like, did you take care of yourself today? Like, are you okay? Did you get to meet somebody today that you get to have a good hug? Like, it's a fucking completely different priority chain of fucks to give, and I love that about it. Like it's really healing. And then when you go back, when I went back to Vancouver for a year, I realized just how much like everybody around me gives fucks about things they shouldn't. And I was like, oh, this does not matter. And I saw it like with my own parents, God bless them, but like they watch the news all the time, or they look at the neighbor's gossip or whatever. Like it's a different. And I found myself getting into this as well. I was like, well, my friend has a Mercedes, I should get a Mercedes. Like it's so prevalent. I think it's super important to get away, come to Bali for a week or so, 2 weeks, whatever, and just like reprioritize your
big time
fucks to give chain. Just like, what do you care about? What are you thinking? Are you thinking about your own personal mental health and what you're building in the world, as opposed to worrying about what the Kardashians are doing or who's Kanye dating now or whatever? It's like, it doesn't matter.
Who gives a fuck?
It doesn't fucking matter. You don't need to worry about this. This doesn't need to take up your mental space. How about the stuff that you teach me? How about being fit and healthy and making it accessible and these things? It's like, holy shit. So I think being around that out here is one of the most important things about this place. I mean, like, nature is gorgeous in Bali, of course. We have jungles and beaches and mountains, incredible. The culture is amazing. The Balinese people are the sweetest people I've ever met in my whole life. Anywhere I've traveled, they're the sweetest people I know.
Yeah.
Their culture is gorgeous. It's beautiful, you know, and the cost of living is relatively cheap. Like, it's like, wow, maybe a quarter of the price or half the price of Vancouver. Yeah. So it's like, great, you can live in a tropical paradise for half the price. Of course, you can launch a business out here with very little risk as it would be back at home. So it's much easier to make things work out here. So it's beautiful. But I'd say the number one thing that I found the most valuable was the expats that you meet. Like, you and I would never meet.
Exactly. I spoke to my mom about this literally last night.
What'd you say?
Because I want my mom to come here on a permanent basis in November. Yeah. And that's kind of the discussion that we've had. And that's kind of the plan that right now is in motion, is that she's going to be here in November and there's no plans to go back to SA.
Amazing.
And
South
that's
Africa
why
is SA.
Yeah. And that's why I put her as a shareholder, obviously, in the business. And the one thing that I said, like, out of everything, is that the community here is so like-minded of people that want to help each other. And like, that for me is it's so refreshing coming from South Africa, for example. I think, you know, let me not label South Africa. Let me just say here versus rest of the world, actually, is that people don't want to see each other like do well. People don't want to help each other. People don't want to spend more time that, oh, I don't have a lot of time for me to do this, this, and this, and this. That's why I don't have time to help you. You know, whereas here, you know, I'm lying on the bed last night with Penny on the bed.
Your new dog.
My new dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Context.
Yeah, context. Yeah. You know, and while I'm lying there on the phone, Angie messages me.
Yeah.
How's Penny doing? And I'm like, how cool is that, bro? That there's just people around me that, like, you know, if you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I've got a really good dog groomer that can help. You know, I've got someone who can help with getting her used to getting onto the scooter. You know, like, just having, you know, people that are around you that actually care and are willing to, like, go the extra mile to just make your life a little bit easier, or to make you more comfortable in Bali. Like, you know, so that's one thing in terms of, I would say, expat community. In terms of local Balinese community, I don't think I've ever met someone who hasn't been helpful, who hasn't been respectful, who hasn't, you know, like, treated me with kindness and love. And, you know, so it's very difficult here to, I would say, have these common quarrels, you know, and it's like moments of like, oh, that guy's an arsehole, this one's this.
Very uncommon. Very
uncommon, you know, whereas when I go back to South Africa, the second you put me back in my old car, I drive a little bit faster, play the music a little bit louder, you know, start looking at somebody like, oh, what a dickhead, you know, like, so I think it is very like, it's very, very easy to go back into those old patterns when I go back home sometimes, because the environment is conducive to a highly stressed state, or
I know exactly what you're talking
highly
about.
distracting state, you know, and there's a little bit more ego, and there's like this little bit more of a feeling of like needing to
separation,
big time.
Yeah.
So, you know, bringing myself here and just kind of isolating myself away from all of that has led to a lot of self-development, and surrounding myself with like-minded people that also want self-development as a big role in their lives.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. Was I was around a bunch of people who would be like, "Oh, I'll do ayahuasca with you tomorrow. Like, let's go." Or like, "Hey, there's this Thai monk meditation that we're gonna go to on Sunday. You and I, Sunday, and we're like, let's go to Solana. And I just got invited to this monk, and you're like, yeah, fucking, let's go meditate with some monks. Like, it's, there's this available, and people are keen to do it. Yeah. Whereas back at home, I think it's a bit difficult. Everyone, you know, it's a different type of society. It's a lot harder to make it, I feel like. So it's like everyone's on a grind. Like, they have to really work.
Or I'll be drinking on Saturday night. I'll be hungover on Sunday. So I don't think that's really going to work for me, Aaron.
Yeah.
And like that, for me, I've completely removed myself away from, I think, those habits as well. Where like now I just look at a lot of my mates back home, and all the love to you guys, but really wish you would just get your shit together and just stop these things that are holding you back from like reaching another level in your lives that you inherently want. you want to wake up in the mornings with more confidence and feeling like you're in control, but you're in the wrong environment. Your environment has the wrong community that don't want the best for you because they don't want the best for themselves. And so, you know, that's why coming here really also allowed me to fix a lot of negative things that, I maybe didn't think were a problem. It's not like I had an alcohol problem or like a drug problem, but, you know, I definitely was a lot more distracted from self-development before coming here.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a lot easier when you're around the right people. Like, and that's really great here. It's celebrated, it's accessible, and even just coming on a little short trip was what did it for me. My first trip out here was I did a yoga teacher training. I didn't expect to do yoga teacher training. I just kind of came for a month. Maybe it was about 2 months.
So are you a yogi?
I'm certified 600 hours.
How many?
600. I did 600 hours of teacher training.
600 hours.
Yeah. I did 600 hours of teacher training. I did 200, and then I did a 300, and then another 100 in India. So it was like I did a bunch of yoga. Those are my first few years of my life in Bali were deeply intertwined with yoga. It changed my life.
It's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours. Yeah, it was great. It really helped me shift and change my mindset.
For sure.
And I was around a bunch of yogis, and so it helped me shift and change like what I thought and how I wanted to live. And then there's a bit of a middle path for me. So, you know, I don't practice as much as I used to, and I'd love to get back into it. And that's been on my list this year is like, that's what I'm going to get back into because it really was a big rock in my transformation. It was important to work on my body, but also be connected to a spiritual practice, which yoga does both. Perfect. Like it's a great pathway, right? And I was able to see that there's many other ways of thinking and acting. So I think that's like super important. Like the retreat that we're going to be hosting end of this year for New Year's Eve, my goal is to help people experience what Bali's done for us in a short amount of time. So they're able to see what it's like to be around a bunch of high vibrational people, all wanting to work on themselves, all wanting to experience healthy, vibrant, amazing, cultural, deep experiences that like grow you as a human, learn how to plan and build things in a short amount of time, and then go back to where they're from and do it.
Implement that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like, that's good. That's fire. I'm like, man, I wish I went to this when I was starting out.
Yeah.
It would have been like a ignition switch.
Yeah.
And I think and be around cool people doing cool shit. Like, let's go do the best part of this and skip all these bullshit lines of touristy things that like you don't need to go to. You know what I mean? Like if you don't know anybody and you go to stuff that you're like, I could have not done this. You know exactly what I mean, right? Touristy stuff. You're like, didn't need to do this.
You know, there was, I got invited to a breath work when I was living in Dubai. And look, I spoke to Antonelli yesterday, and you know, she was obviously in Dubai for a bit. And, you know, I said to her, personally, I didn't feel like there was community, soul, love. There was nothing that was connecting people so much. You know, it was very just transactional. You know, and she's like, no, you're wrong. There's actually a community there of people that love breath work and that do this. And, you know, they get together and they're on a bit more of a spiritual level. I was like, okay, well, I didn't experience that, you know, but the experience that I had when I went to go do breath work was great. It's going to be a really expansive experience. And then I found myself in a room with LED lights and 4 white walls, and it was just not expansive, bro. It was like, okay, you know, so that put me off the idea of like, you know, doing breath work or doing any self practices, because I really, the first experience I got was, it wasn't a vibe.
Very manufactured.
Very, bro. Yeah. But then obviously coming here and meeting certain individuals and kind of going on that journey and those experiences in beautiful nature as well. It's something that, you know, really reaffirms that the landscape here is just one of the most beautiful in the entire world. Powerful and land. It really has such an impactful, you know, greater impact on your experiences, you know, whether your experience is breath work, whether it's meditation, whether it's going to a temple, whether it's going to a waterfall, whatever it is, like there really isn't as beautiful of a landscape anywhere else in the world as this island.
I can't wait for you to come to us to that waterfall. Did you come when we scream at the waterfall? There's this one that, this is dope. So, okay, you know Ibu YN, she's our priestess at Karma House, and she's incredible. She's got magical powers. She's pure love. She's just the most loving, nurturing, motherly, sweet essence.
Right.
And she's like, she'll bless you up and you feel her love. She's really like, she's got an amazing story. She's a wonderful human. And she takes us to this waterfall that we're going to take the retreat on. and it's a special waterfall temple. It's beautiful, and you get there and there's two different portions, and one where you scream and you let out all this negativity and you let out all this crazy shit.
Cool.
And then she holds you through it. And then the second part of it is you give thanks and gratitude and blessings for things in your life, and you end on the gratitude thanks one. And man, when you finish that, you're like, whoa, like it's a deep experience. It's beautiful. Wow. So I figured start the retreat with that. So we hit it with the Bali priestess vibe and go into something really beautiful and deep. And then go to Karma House, get everybody together, do an opening ceremony where we hold the space and let people know what they're going to be going through. Teach this masterclass on planning, where I want people to be able to plan their 2025 in a way that's like the highest vibrational goal for the year. Great. And we consistently put them through practices that raise their vibration. So the whole week, I want them to be like upping their vibe. We'll be doing breath work. We'll be doing workouts with you. Yeah. We'll be taking them to really charged, amazing spaces, having amazing connection with everybody. And as they're planning from that elevated space, they're able to see what the best version of them it feels like, and then planning from that space makes elevated plans. And this is how I did all my businesses. Is I was in a meditation retreat, or I was in a really elevated space, and then an idea came through and a plan came through that worked. And so that's the difference. Because when I plan from a place of like, oh, fuck it, it's like you get a fuck it plan, right? Yeah. You plan from a place of like, I'm expansive, I feel good, I can do things. Damn, like what you can do is way better, right? Way better. So then that's going to be amazing. All my favorite restaurants that I love to eat at that are like the good out here. So take them to the good. And then to be able to go to like these amazing other temples and waterfalls, like a beautiful actual Balinese waterfall outside of the temple one. So some good experiences there. And then going down to Uluwatu, which is my favorite. So Ubud and Ulu, I feel, are the most charged, one of the best places to be in Bali. There's a lot that we can skip. Like people are like, cool, I land near this place called Kuta. I'm like, don't go to Kuta.
No, we're not.
Do not go to Seminyak. Don't go to these touristy bullshit places. It's not the vibe.
No.
We go to Uluwatu and be in the beaches, like the actual real gorgeous ocean energy down there, and do these beach workouts we can do. Take them to the Astana luxury cliffside meditation retreat center my bro owns, my business partner Dave, and be able to like do sauna, steam, and different types of like really great biohacking on a cliff with the ocean and sunset. It's like proper, right? And so then doing more of these classes and master classes and group connection elements that are going to help people go and continuously plan, but also they get to experience all these new things and new people, and also get to meet other Bali entrepreneurs like you, me, Ree. So people that had made the move to a tropical paradise and that are young and doing their own thing, and like solo entrepreneurs. Like we made it on our own, and we were able to come here on our own. And then we connected with other people who are living an amazing lifestyle. I believe it really shows people that there's like a whole new world out there. And just that week of being around this and getting to ask whatever questions they want, and just being like, yo, how did you do this? And we're just like, we'll lay it all out for you. You do this. And then you're like, that's actually not that hard. And it demystifies the entire experience for people. And they're like, I could totally move to Bali or Jamaica or Costa Rica or Portugal, whatever it is. But if you just want to live a bigger, deeper life and not be in the same monotonous, you can do it. If people like you and me could do it, it's like you could figure it out.
But I say this all the time, dude. Like, you know, where people are like, oh, well, I've got a family. I work for this company. And I'm like, I do understand that. Like, I 100%, bro. Like, you know, it's not... You can't just, you can't just expect someone to completely up and leave everything that, you know, they are so rooted in.
Sure.
One can dream. Hopefully one day I'll be able to do that. But for example, let's actually use my mom as a clear example here, because my mom's 62. When she comes here in November, she's not going to be working for the company that she's worked for. But dude, my mom's been in real estate for like 35 years, I think. I'm really kind of ballpark figuring it, you know, but, you know, maybe even longer, I think. But, you know, when she comes here, she ain't going to be working in real estate anymore. You know, like, sure, you can work on maybe a referral basis if clients still inquire and this and that, but you're going to be on a very small island in Indonesia on the other side of the world, you know, and that's a huge leap to take. And that's a really big step to say, fuck, I'm actually at this age, I'm leaving the nest.
That's
like
huge.
I'm leaving this nest that I've had my whole life.
Massive.
You know, and part of it is due to me saying, listen, I got you. Like, I want you to come and experience this. Don't worry, no matter what, I'll look after you, and that's it, you know. But it's all about taking that risk at the end of the day. And, you know, whether it's alone or if you have a family, you've got kids are in school, you've got this job, you can at least start making plans, and you can at least start taking a step in the direction to enter that phase of your life, if it's not now, at some point. And I think people coming to Bali, even if it's for a week to 2 weeks, around people such as you, myself, Ree, everyone else that's going to be on the retreat, it is going to expand their neurology at least to understand that, like, wait, there are the same resources here. I can also be very healthy. There's beautiful places for me to go and work from, and there's beautiful places that really fill up my cup, you know, on an emotional and spiritual level. Okay, this has got me thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe it's actually possible, you know, and
Totally.
and I think that's the beauty of inviting people from all over the world to this retreat, you know, is showing them that all the cornerstones and elements of their life and what makes up their day to day, it's also possible here, but it's possible on a much more positive, more spiritual, more supported environment, you know, with like-minded people that are there to, you know, bring out the best in you, instead of the environment that you're going to be going back to in the Western world, where people are not happy, people are not supporting you, they're not offering to help you, you know. So coming here really, I think, expands what you think is possible. And I think that's why, since coming here, I've wanted to now open up a gym, because I know it's possible. I know that I have a community of people that can support this dream. You know, I know that business registration, I don't understand the paperwork. I speak English, and all of it.
You figure it out.
All of it's in Bahasa, Bali, but that's fine, because you know what? I know that I'm still supported.
Yeah.
And I know that no matter what happens, it's okay.
You'll make it work.
I'll make it work.
When my mom came out here, by the end of her trip, I had never seen her shining like she had been shining.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Unreal.
She did a yoga teacher training with my teacher. She did a yin training, and it was amazing. I'd never seen my mom look so happy and clear and shining, because she was out of her like normal role of, you know, what she plays in the Matrix and like how that lifestyle is. And it's like, holy shit. Like it was amazing to see that shift for her.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. It was beautiful, man. I remember her graduation from her yoga teacher training, and just looking at her in her little white outfit going to like the yoga teacher training graduation. And I was so proud of her. Like I never felt that, like, oh my God, like she looks so beautiful. Like it was really a sweet moment to see that, that like what worked for me in Bali did work for her, because she committed to it. She really spent a month doing it, and it was like very apparent. That was special, man. I'm excited for your mom to like dive into the to the squad and the lifestyle that we have and the resources.
You guys are gonna fucking love her. She is the most energized, most kindest person I know, you know, like, and all my friends love her. Mm-hmm. My friends have loved her since I was 15, 16. She's always been like the person that will look after you, make sure that you're loved, make sure that like if there's anything you need, you go to her. And I think that's part of her career coming out in her, her relationships with people influence how good she is at what she does in her career, because she is just someone who's a great conversationalist, willing to go over and above, willing to accommodate. And I know that coming here, we need to slow that down and start receiving from other people, you know. And I think that's what I want for my mom, is just for her to be on the receiving end of other people and their kindness.
That's great.
You know, because she is that person, but she's always been that person and never taken 5 minutes to just, you do you know, and you do what you want to do today.
I think it's gonna be beautiful for her to sit and receive. And then
she's my best friend. You know, so I get to experience this experience with her.
That's so dope.
Which is epic.
Yeah. And if she gets bored, real estate out here is so lucrative. It's crazy. There's so much, like a bunch of my friends came out over here and they're just setting up real estate deals for people to invest from back where they're from. And it's like, it's crazy lucrative. So my friends are making good money doing that. And I'm like, damn, that's a smart idea. Like it really is. I'm thinking about unplugging a bit more from brick and mortars and then going into real estate development, just because it's less people to manage, and I love building stuff. Like, you know, when you're gonna build your gym, I'm like, like it's fun to build stuff out here. It's really great. So I think anybody listening, if you want to get into investment property that you don't get dinged on taxes back at home, is great. You know, this is a good one. Not ratting myself out. I just mean, you know, something to do. So
it's just something you heard.
Yeah, I just heard about it.
So, link in bio.
Man, I'm excited for us to do this. I'm stoked. It's going to be fun. I'm excited for people to come out here. And when I saw like us putting this together, and I just saw us like getting to hang out with a bunch of cool people globally, and then us get to do all the fun stuff that we want to do. Like we'll take them ATVing. It's so fun ATVing out here. You get so muddy and it's such a good time. Like it's like Rough Riders in the jungle. It's so fun. And then like getting to go to these like waterfalls and temples and the blessings and the good food. And then people be like, holy shit, this is crazy. I'm like, I know, right? Like that's like, I'm excited for us to experience that. Cause like stuff that I truly love that I know is dope. And then every time I share with people what I love, like when I take them to the restaurant that I like, I'm like, I tried this one thing at that restaurant. They always eat it. And they're like, holy shit. I'm like, I know, right?
But this experience is because this experience is going to be amazing because of you, bro. Like that's the thing, is like, you know, you can Google things to do here, like, and then you'll go on the same generic journey that everyone else does, but you're taking people on a journey that you've been on. And I think that's where you're able to kind of give a stamp of approval to these experiences, because you're not taking someone into a room that you haven't been in already, you know. And I think that is firstly the inspiration for me doing my retreat next year. But, you know, so I can completely resonate with going to this restaurant because you've tried that food. You can say, fuck yeah. Going to the Astana because you've been there and you know that actually the people that run the place are the best in, you know, on the island. The service that they provide is, you know, second to none. And, you know, you're giving the people that are coming on this retreat like a unbelievably premium, exciting and mind-blowing experience all in one, you know. And I think between you, me and Ree, you know, just making sure that everyone is really well looked after, and that, you know, if they need anything, that they don't have to stress about it, and everything is, you know, is already consolidated. They just need to arrive here and unpack and get ready for like the most epic New Year's, by the way. You know, we're not just doing this in the middle of the year. This is like, oh yeah, let's just also remember that it's New Year's.
That's right.
It's in 3 days. Like, fuck yes.
I forgot to totally even mention that.
Yeah. It's happening over New Year's.
That's right.
Like,
it's gonna be
dude,
awesome.
That is such another layer of like intention setting, goal setting, you know, and like really just making sure that like, cool, great, we're doing the work so that the next 12 months of your life are exactly what this week is going to be, right? This exciting, expansive, fun, interesting, adventurous week. It's actually, that's what we want your entire 12 months to look like, you know, is where like, this is the intention, this is the experience, right? And now let's set you into the wild, and fuck, I hope it's going to be the best New Year's, but the best year ahead for everyone. You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I was like, I definitely want to do like a fire ceremony, and we write down all the things that we want to let go of, and then also what we're calling in. And that subconscious mind loves ritual. So if we're able to actually go there and burn the papers and get dialed in and call it in. And then I was like, 6 months later, we should host another retreat, and then maintenance on people's plans and see how they're going. Yeah. It'd be amazing if people trained with you online, did the business coaching with me, and then meet up again and see how much success people would have. It'd be super fun. That's what I was like, sick. This would be cool to have like a global squad. And then, okay, this one's Bali. Okay, maybe the next one's somewhere else. And like be able to have that global squad of people leveling up together, but then meeting up and doing cool shit. I was like, man, it came to me in a vision I had with a deep breathwork journey in like a mushroom ceremony in Australia before I came to Bali. I got like stuck in Australia. Yeah. I tell you this story?
No.
It was crazy, bro. I was coming here to check on my businesses, and I was really busy at that time, and I was getting out of stuff in Vancouver, and it was crazy. It was stressful. It was difficult. I didn't look at my passport. I just assumed it was okay. And I got on my flight in Vancouver. They didn't tell me nothing.
Right.
And then I'm in Australia, and then I'm about to board. I had a 1 hour layover, so super fast and quick. And I was with my friend Olivia. She's a tattoo artist that was guesting at my shop, but staying at my parents' house. Like we're close. And so we traveled together here, and they're like, you can go, but you can't. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? They're like, you have 4 months available to the expiry on your credit on your passport, and you need 6. We can't let you into Bali. They'll refuse you. You'll get deported back to Vancouver. We need to deport you back to Vancouver. And I'm like, whoa. Like I just got off a 14-hour flight from Vancouver to Brisbane, and you're gonna deport me back to Canada. Like let's talk about this for a second, guys. Like, well, hold on a second. They're like, well, like we can't let you in. And I'm like, let me stay in Australia and I'll sort this out, and I'll get a new passport. I'll get an emergency passport, and then I'll go to Bali, because I don't want to fly back to Vancouver, deal with this, and fly all the way back. Like that's a hassle. Like, come on, guys. They're like, well, it's not really our call. And I'm like, well, whose call is it? They're like, we don't know. And I'm like, look, like, she's like, let me take you. And I'm in these situations, always be friendly. Never flip out.
Exactly.
Never flip out.
Because
like,
also they don't
give a shit.
They don't give a fuck, dude.
It's not going to help the situation.
But if you're nice, they can change the situation.
That's exactly what happened, right? So I'm like, oh, this is rough. Look, I know you're just doing your job. Like, I totally get it. I understand. Let's figure this out. I'll be cool about it. They're like, thank you for being sweet about it. I'm like, it's all good. Olivia, go ahead. I'll handle this. So the manager comes out. It's like a Virgin Atlantic, right? And she comes and she's like, look, like, I don't know what we're supposed to do with you. And I'm like, well, can I just stay here? She's like, technically you're not supposed to be in Australia for this. Do you have your visa to enter? I'm like, no, I just like this just happened to me. I didn't expect to enter Australia. I thought I was flying right through at an hour layover. It was a very tight timeline. She's like, okay, let me talk to immigration. Then she pulls me up to immigration. They're both looking at me and they're like, so you're going to Bali? I'm like, yeah, I own a couple tattoo shops in Bali and I needed to like go check on things. Like I was just passing through. They're like, can you fill out this paper right now to like enter? And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm like filling out the immigration paper right then, like the visa to entry. And she's like, okay, he's applied for it. They're like, okay. And they just let me into the country.
Brilliant.
I didn't get searched and nothing.
Really?
Zero. I got my passport back and I was like worried, like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's like, while we've got him, we might as well just,
fucking look in his butt.
I was about to say check his prostate.
We're on the same vibe. So I'm super happy they didn't look at my butt. And and they let me into the country. And I was like, wow, like I expected to be deported back to Canada.
Yeah.
Instead, I just got allowed into Australia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, get a new passport. So I'm in Brisbane and I put out on my Instagram, like, hey, Aussie homies, like I'm stuck here for a little while. And it was like a 2 week, it was a 10, 12 day thing. So it was not quick as I thought it was going to be. But I had to get a whole new passport printed, but I need to go to Sydney to do it. So I'm like, can I even fly from Brisbane to Sydney?
What a fucking shambles.
Oh,
bro.
it was crazy. But it was kind of cool because
you get to explore a bit.
I didn't get any time alone for a year. Like I never really get that much alone time. I'm always around people who, work for me or I'm working with or clients or whatever. So I'm always with people. Now I just get to be alone in Australia. It was like, cool. So I just found a good gym, found where they have good steaks, did my workouts, did my calls, like simple, chill, beautiful, right? I fly from Brisbane to Sydney because you can with just a driver's license. Like you don't even need the passport, domestic, great. Right. So I go to Sydney to get my new passport. And as I put on my Instagram, I'm there, my homie who got tattooed at my shop, this shaman homie, like a medicine bro, Ben Borg, he got a big leg sleeve done with us. And he's like, oh, you're in Sydney? Like, let me and my wife come take you out for food. I'm like, oh shit. Okay. Perfect, right? Yeah. Like great. Bali friends. Like you just meet random Bali friends. Yeah. And she's a psychic and he's like a medicine dude, breath work, mushrooms, cacao. They import cacao from Nicaragua. They're like deep in it, right? So it's like, this is crazy. Like come stay out on our property out in the boonies. I'm like, yeah, great. Like sure. I rent a car, drive 2 hours east of or west of Sydney, way out in nature along this beautiful like coastal highway. And I do this deep dive breathwork ceremony and it helped me clear so much out of the way. And what I saw during the vision of the breathwork was like, you're going to bring people together. You're going to host retreats. Right. That's like the next thing that you're going to be doing. And I was like, I saw I was going to build a retreat center. And I was like, whoa, like it was just a vision that was clear. It was so clear that came through in that breathwork. It was a one-on-one and we had cacao and then we did mushrooms out in the bush. Super fun. And just had these downloads come through. And I was like, oh great. Like that's what I'm supposed to, that's why I got detoured out here. I needed to have that vision. I needed to let go of some grief from Vancouver. I needed to see that actually the pivot for me is like, I don't really feel super called for brick and mortars anymore. What I want to do is help people grow where I've grown. Like those things, like you were saying with the stamp of approval, it's like stuff worked for me and it was really deep and beautiful. Yeah. And I did so many things that worked and so many things that didn't, that I just know what works for me. And often when I show those to other people, it works for them. So I'm like, well, that sounds fulfilling. Yeah, that sounds like a good time.
And I think a lot of the people that are going to come are like people that are willing to invest in coming and flying here and, and doing this. I think are people that are ready to receive, people that are ready to set intentions, people that are ready to take another step in their lives, to greater fulfillment and, really want to get the most out of this experience that they can be better, do more. So I think that also having the right people here along with the experiences that are going to be provided is going to be life-changing to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I'm very excited for it, and I know that we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude.
Me too. I'm super stoked about it. Thanks for coming down to Lighthouse today for the pod. Guys, yeah, if you want to join the retreat, DM either of us. We'll get you in the game. It's going to be exciting to bring in amazing people here. If you're looking for an amazing online personal trainer, obviously my boy is the dude. He crushes that. He's so good at this. Follow him on Instagram. Let him know what you think. Shoot us a message if you'd like to come. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for coming by. Peace.
Ciao.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. I hope you found it inspiring, entertaining, funny, and also feeling a little bit more present and connected to yourself. Please leave a review and like and subscribe and do all those things. I'd really appreciate that. As well as if you're feeling in a giving mood, this podcast is there for the charities that I love to support. Go to www.arenbaya.com/charity and get some of those good karma points. This podcast is brought to you by Lighthouse Studios in Bali, as well as Full Reset Coaching. That is my coaching practice. And if you're looking for help in business, inner game impact, and building your legacy to be something you're proud of, your brand, your business, and how you walk the earth and who you impact, and also having the mindset and the heart set to be able to be happy handling it all, I'm here for you. Just DM me. Let's go. Peace out, homies. I'll see you on the next episode.